Hello, my name is Geogen and welcome back to Armored Warfare. Today, instead of just a replay, I thought I would do a tank review of the T62. I know it's a lower tier vehicle, but I feel like this is one to start with, a good one to start with, as when you start playing the game, if you haven't started playing the game and you are thinking about it, you're going to run into these vehicles quite soon, as they are at tier 3. And also I'm doing a review today because there should have been a video up yesterday and I was a little busy, so I thought I'd make it up by making a longer video. Anyway, the T62 is one of 3 tier 3 main battle tanks in Armored Warfare at the moment as of patch 012. However, there are other tier 3 main battle tanks, but I won't be talking about them because they are premium vehicles and copies of the T62. Here's the normal T62 and here's the T62 Vet. Basically the same vehicle, but one has a camo job on it. There's obviously the Type 59 and additionally Object 430 and Object 155 and also an Object 430 Ice, which is the same as the Object 430 but again with a nice skin on it. I think that's all for the other MBTs of the tier, so let's get back to the subject. I will be comparing these 3 vehicles, and all of them have retrofits on of Mark II. They have the internal hull reinforcement Mark II and the advanced thermal sleeve, as you can see here. The Leopard, however, gets an ability to use an enhanced drivetrain, so I thought I would use that in order to make the traverse speed of the Leopard 1 slightly better. So, when you get these vehicles as stock, they won't be as effective as my vehicles are, and of course it's a fully upgraded vehicle, as you can see here. Fully upgraded ammunitions, and gunner's sight, rangefinders, etc. engines. So, without further ado, we'll just take a look at the stats menu here. Let's start with the gun. You get a 115mm gun, 10mm bigger than that of the M60 and the Leopard 1, but that doesn't hugely matter. You do have the most damage of 309, I believe. The M60 has 239 damage, which is very low, and the Leopard has slightly better damage of 263. Penetration on the most upgraded round is 237, which compared to the M60 is better, but worse compared to the Leopard 1. Damage per minute of 2,722 versus 2,374, so you do get much better DPM compared to the M60, but the Leopard 1 again has much better DPM, over 3,100. So don't go trading with Leopards, they will kill you quite quickly, unless you can hide your hull, which we'll talk about later. Your hit points of 1,159 compared to that of this M60 is quite limited. Just over 1400 for the M60, and even the Leopard 1 has more hit points than you. So, like I said, you can't really go trading with these two that long, especially the Leopard 1. However, you do have good mobility, at least compared to the M60 again, 50 kilometers, and it takes 8 seconds to get up to 32 kilometers. So the acceleration is a bit mediocre. It's not too bad, and the top speed limit is good. M60's speed limit is almost there, but only slightly slower, and again the Leopard is a lighter vehicle with a better engine, and it goes almost 70 kilometers an hour, and takes 6.4 seconds to get to 32 kilometers an hour. The M60 is slower to accelerate from the T62 by 1 second. You do get the best camo ratings, 0165 across the board. I don't know what these two mean. Maybe if you're in the open or in cover, and the other one I don't know. 400 meters view range as well, better than the M60. M60 is such a tall vehicle compared to that of the T62. You can see for yourselves. And having 40 meters extra view range is very nice indeed. Leopard 1 has the same view range as you, but you have better camera rating than the Leopard 1. You are a lower profile vehicle, after all. The gun depression is underwhelming. It is a Soviet tank, after all. you get -6 degrees of gun depression over the front, and I assume -4 degrees of gun depression over the sides and rear. I don't actually know what that second number means, but it is definitely -6 over the front. M60 has -9 over the front. American tanks generally have good gun depression, as does the Leopard 1 of -9 degrees, but only 2.5 degrees over the rear, I would assume, because of this raised engine deck. And a similar problem here of 2 degrees of elevation. The gun has to go up, it would seem. It cannot depress over the rear of the vehicle because of this huge engine bay. If I'm wrong on that, then so be it. Turret traverse is good, 41 degrees a second. M60 is very, very slow, of 17 degrees. You may want to consider using a retrofit which would improve your turret traverse. Leopards is 32 degrees, but that is something the T62 does better. Lastly, the gun stats. Reload time of 6.81 seconds is slower than both the M60 and the Leopard. The Leopard by over a second. The accuracy is also the worst, of 0.12 deviation per 100 meters. Only 0.001 compared to 0.1 compared to 0.01. Gosh, I'm getting confused with bloody decimal places. 0.01 difference compared to the M60, and the Leopard 1 has very good accuracy of 0.09 spread. Lastly, the targeting time is quite long on this vehicle, 2.61 seconds, as opposed to, well, it's actually an intermediate step. The M60 has worse aim time of 2.9 seconds, and the Leopard 1 again has better aim time of 2.1 seconds. The Leopard has very good gun handling and rate of fire. It trades this for, not health, it trades it for armor protection, which we're going to talk about now. If you've played World of Tanks or a similar tank game, then you'll know that a T62 has very good turret armor, as is highlighted by the statistics on this side. Now, note, this vehicle has steel armor on both the turret and the hull, and therefore your hull modifiers are 1 across the board. You do not have any further protection against heat rounds at this tier, and I don't think that starts until the T64, which is a tier higher. Anyhow, you have 242mm of armor on the front of the turret, but again, where is this located? I cannot tell you for sure, but if you shoot the sides here, you're going to not penetrate anytime soon, because the armor thickness increases with the curvature of the turret and the angling. The front turret is the flattest area, but it is still 240mm thick. Basically, don't shoot at the front of the turret, especially if you're an AFV or even an M60 or Leopard 1. The sides of the turret, 122mm, but again, the rear is getting thinner as opposed to the front, because most Soviet tanks of this era and time had armor where it's layered in terms of here is thicker and here is getting progressively thinner. And the rear is only 55mm, so you can pen that with ease. You can also pen the side if you get a flat area, which is like up here perhaps. And now we move on to the weakness. The hull armor is not very good, and you can be penetrated by heat rounds from opposing T62s, Leopards, M60s. Especially if they shoot you in your lower plate, or if they are above you and they're shooting down into your upper plate. Your upper plate is only 102mm, but your lower plate is definitely thinner than that from my experience. Side armor is flat and thin of 79mm, and the rear armor is again flat and thin with only 46mm, but you don't really expect this huge protection when you get some good mobility instead. Not as good as the Leopard 1, as I said, but that is pretty much it for the tank stats. I will now talk about which commander I have. It's kind of obvious I have Freya, which is very good in the MBT role. Bonus damage to modules by 20%, aim time improved by 10%. Quite critical on vehicles such as the T62 and other Soviet vehicles which have quite a long aim time. Ammo swap speed is increased by 20%, reload time reduced by 10%, improving the rate of fire and the damage per minute, and damage to enemy crew increased by 50% for 60 seconds after destroying one of their modules, which will give you the edge if you can take advantage of that, or hopefully knock out a few crew members. In terms of the other crew, I have smooth ride, accuracy improved by 20%. Sometimes you do have to fire on the move. Peak accuracy, better accuracy when the gun is fully aimed, and rapid fire. You can pick and choose and experiment, see what works for you, but this is what I have selected. Ammo loadout, 24 AP, 20 heat and 4 HE. HE to finish off low health targets or penetrate artillery perhaps, like the Abbott artillery. Saber rounds are generally the main ammo I use against MBTs, but sometimes I use heat rounds against MBTs as well. Having a good supply of both, depending on the situation, as you're going to see in a moment, will help you a great deal when you're in the game. Consumables are pretty standard as well: repair kit, first aid kit, fire extinguisher, and low tier field maintenance kit if you want to do PvE. You can replace these with the premium version, the spare parts, as they do have a passive ability, 10% improved repair speed, same with the medical kit. Well, in fact, it's 15% for crew resilience, and then automatic fire extinguisher. It does what it says on the tin, and it also has a 10% less chance of fire inside the vehicle. Enough of the stats, however. Let's have a look at the gameplay that I have for you guys.
Driver, crank it. Affirmative.
So, welcome to the gameplay of the T62. After that, somewhat brief overview of the stats in the garage. Anyhow, the mobility is not amazing, it's not bad either, it's better than the M60, that's for damn sure, but not as good as the Leopard 1. The top speed is slower, with the acceleration, like I said, is not too bad. Turret traverse, however, you may have seen just then, is actually quite good in comparison to the Leopard 1. I think the Leopard 1 in garage said 30 or 31 degrees per second, whereas this is up to 40 degrees a second. So you can reacquire targets better, as I did say. Anyhow, we are on Port Storm. There is a Scorpion over there. Aim time a little longer, and that shot didn't go anywhere near I wanted to. It went through the lamp, I believe. Waiting for him to go into the gun sight, and there we go, 325 straight through the side. I could be firing heat at the moment, but it is a long range. I want the shells to get there quicker than those of heat shells. And this was a pad shot, but the next shot, I believe, does connect. Almost 7-second reload. There we go. This, I feel, is a bit exploitive. Maybe I shouldn't be doing it, but at the same time, I'm showing hardly anything, just my turret, and I can shoot through 3 layers of metal, apparently. They probably will fix that in the future. So we got a couple of shots into the Leopard 1, totaling 625 damage. The reverse speed doesn't really impact the accuracy too much. It does make the gun bloom more than if you were stationary, but you can control it if you are going at, say, 1 to 5 kilometers an hour in reverse. Going up 10 or more kind of ruins the bloom and aim of the tank. We loaded a heat shell, goes straight in the side of the T62 there, my own tank of course, and it kind of shows that this tier, much like in modern tanks, how the lower tiers don't really rely on their armor at all, more their guns and their mobility. There are exceptions of course at tiers 4 and 5 in modern tanks, but anyhow, back to the T62. You can see the reload between the AP and the heat is quicker than normal. We get penned in the side there because I'm not actually angled at all, and you can see just under a quarter of my health is gone, so you can't take many shots from comparable tier main battle tanks like the T62, the T62 Vet, of course the Object 430, Object 155, the ICE version of the 430, and the Type 59, as well as the 2 normal tanks in trees, the M60 and the Leopard 1. I believe the M60 has more health, however. Upper plate of the T62 is only 100mm odd, about 102mm I think. It's very easy to pen either the upper or lower plate, and we've loaded heat rounds. However, we're a tad slow on the reload there, and he managed to get into cover. We reverse, get penned by a pattern, a tier 2, still have the heat loaded, but we switch back to AP and we get into cover, cover our whole armor, and only expose that very strong turret armor for the tier. 2 enemies in front of me, one takes a shot, other pulls forward, knock out his gunner, I think, or perhaps driver, I can't actually tell what that symbol was. And we're just doing all the damage. However, we do get penned, I believe, or actually we don't get penned, but our turret ring gets knocked out, and we have to repair it. I'm not going to sit around waiting for it to be repaired. That shot is just gone off from the left, you saw the gun smoke. Fortunately, the first shot just... I don't know where that actually hit on the enemy T62, but it didn't pen the tank anyway. We have to reload, we go close to him in order to absorb a shell from him in the turret. Take him out, try and get a shot on the pattern, but he gets taken out from behind. And now we're moving on to the last few enemies. Although they can still technically claw it back. As you saw, we just lost one of our vehicles. Powering up this slope, of course you lose all speed in slopes such as this. We've been spotted, even though we do have better camera aim, but we're not behind too much concealment. Looking for a shot on the T54. T54 turret is surprisingly strong even for a T62. Loaded saber rounds. It doesn't matter. There isn't an overpen mechanic like there was, so in theory that would have overpenned that XM800T. If those mechanics wouldn't. I think they're actually coming back, so we won't be able to actually do that in time. We're getting hit by Hesh, but it hasn't penned us. We're also getting hit by another XM800T, but his shells are, well, quite ineffective. It would seem he's firing AP. We have to deal with this T62 vet that we saw earlier, and I believe the T62 vet has pretty much the same stats as the normal T62, other than the nice camo job. Scorpion has got around me, trying to traverse the turret. Have to kill one of these guys first. Kill the Scorpion. Change, bounce a shot, change target to the veteran. He's on 23 hit points. And he's gone. Pop his turret like like a wine cork. Or a champagne cork. Up to 4,700 damage done. Of course, I do have quite a lot of experience in game with auto tanks and some experience in this game. So you can consider this seal clubbing, but it is good for review purposes, as you see me switching between high explosive here to finish off this T62 on 27 hit points. He's gone. Switching back to saber for most encounters, and also heat for times where I can hit the side of vehicles, such as main battle tanks, and scorpions and other armored fighting vehicles. We have taken rather minor damage in terms of modules, only our gun and left track, but we have taken over half our hit points. It's been just it's gone. Lost my train of thought there for some reason. Now we're searching for that XM800T. We're not going to catch him in a flat-out speed chase. The Leopard 1 has a better chance of that, but even so, the XM800 will have you in terms of its mobility. It relies on its mobility as it has no armor, and its gun, if you can get to pen the side and rear of main battle tanks like the T62, then it is quite effective. So we know he's probably going to be in this top right hand corner of the map, because the top left and bottom has been cleared. There he is. My gun has been damaged, so the aim time is longer, and the heat shell makes just flies on overhead, and it has a slower shell velocity than those of saber rounds. Trying to get him into an ambush, but our gun's reload is far too our gun's accuracy is far too bad in this current state, so we have to aim for about 3 or 5 seconds before we can get the shot on target, and this is what we did. 5,100 damage done, and that was how we played the T62. Quite aggressive, but also using cover when possible to hide your rather weak hull armor. There we are, 6,700 experience, 5,000 damage, 6 kills, 10 spots, 146,000 credits. This was for ×2 first win of the day. Of course, I came on top of the team, 2,000 base experience. That was a pretty good match for the T62, probably my best, but then again this is quite low tier matchmaking. So we'll just head back into the garage for a brief summary of what you just saw. So I hope you enjoyed my little review on the T62 there, and a little bit of a comparison between the M60 and the Leopard 1, the other two main battle tanks of tier 3. You probably have gathered by now that the T62 is a pretty decent machine, but it is middle of the road in some respects in regards to the aim time. 2.6 seconds is quite long compared to the Leopard, but it's better than the M60. You have good turret traverse, the best turret traverse. You have decent mobility, not the best mobility. It's hit and miss with certain factors, but you do have the most damage, and you have decent DPM, but again, the Leopard 1 has much better DPM. So if you can hide your hull, if you can use the turret armor, you can do quite good work. And just be careful if you get flanked by little pesky AFVs as well as Leopard 1s, as they will tear you up with your very mediocre hull armor. If you enjoyed this video and perhaps have a suggestion for another tank that I should review in Armoured Warfare, leave it down below. Tell me your thoughts. Should I improve the format of this particular series of tank reviews in any way? Any suggestions are much appreciated. And as always, I've been Geogen. This has been Armoured Warfare, the T62, and I'll see you chaps and chapettes in the next one.